Welcome, scholars, to today's fifth grade reading lesson. Let's get started. All right, scholars, before we get started today, let's make sure we have all of our materials ready so we are set up for success. The first thing you'll need today is your reading textbook. The next thing you'll need is your reader's journal. You'll need your response sheet. And as always, a pen or a pencil, your favorite writing utensil. Now, once you have your materials, I want you to repeat after me. I am ready to learn when my mic is off until it is my turn to speak. I am ready to learn when my materials are in my learning space. I am ready to learn when I do not take pictures or record during the meetings. I promise TikTok will be there later. And I am ready to learn when I will respect my classmates and I will respect my learning time. So we have our things, we've set our norms. Let's get started. This week, we're going to take a look at our long A and long E spelling patterns. In previous grades, you've learned that the long A vowel sound has multiple ways to spell it. Look at the chart below and follow along as I read the words aloud. The first word we're going to look at is the word paper. I'm going to break paper apart into its two syllables. And paper follows our long A sound because pay is in an open syllable, meaning it ends with a vowel and makes the long vowel sound. Let's look at the next word, trade. I'm going to focus on the A and the E. The long vowel sound, A, is often used with this spelling pattern, A-E, which is also known as a vowel consonant E or a final E syllable. Our next word is paid, and last we have play. Both of these words have what we call a vowel team, meaning they have two letters that make one sound, which is also known as a digraph. Let's continue. In previous grades, you've also learned that the long E vowel sound has multiple ways to spell it. Let's look at the chart and follow along as I read the words aloud. Notice our first word, meter, is composed of two syllables. And remember, when one of my syllables ends in a vowel, I call that an open syllable. Good job. Let's look at our next example. I have an E-E with these. Do you remember what we call that syllable? A vowel consonant E or a final E syllable. Great job. Next, we have the patterns EE with read, EA with treats, IE with field, and EI with ceiling. Do you remember what we call two vowels that make up one sound? Those are our vowel teams, our digraphs. Wonderful job. And we have a Y with baby and EY with honey. Notice in these words, our Y acts like a vowel. So those are our Y vowel patterns. Let's continue. I want you to practice reading the words aloud. How are the vowel sounds the same? How are they different? What about the spellings? How are they similar or different. All right, boys and girls, for this activity, I want you to follow the following steps to be successful in completing it. So, the first thing I want you to do is read the word aloud. Next, I want you to identify the vowel sound. Then, I want you to sort into categories. And lastly, I want you to recognize the spelling pattern. Feel free to look back at your notes for our long A and long E vowel sounds to complete this activity. Good luck. All right, let's take a look at today's reading objectives. Our learning goal for today: I am learning to recognize organizational patterns in informational text. I'll know I can do this when I can identify signal words and phrases in an author's organizational pattern, and I can recognize organizational patterns. And you'll demonstrate your learning by using evidence from the text. You will identify the organizational pattern in wheelchair sports. Let's get started. All right, scholars, before we get started today, I want to share with you a brief video that will provide us with the definition of the different types of text structure we see and how the information can be organized in different ways to support the author's purpose. As you watch, in your reader's notebook, write down some of the structures that you noticed. Be prepared to discuss. In informational text, the author will use different patterns to organize the text. Often, a text will consist of more than one type of text structure. In informational text, an author might use cause and effect to explain what happened and why it happened. In a different part of the text, the author might use a sequential structure to tell events in a sequence or order in which they happen. Recognizing the text structure will help connect ideas and events. Knowing text structure can help you understand the central idea of a text. Authors also use different words to signal each kind of organizational pattern. Signal words provide clues to the structure of a text. Let's look at our anchor chart. First, we have compare and contrast, which is when things are compared. The purpose is to show how they are alike. And when we contrast things, the purpose is to show how things are different. Signal words include but, both, however, and. Cause and effect is another type of text structure. The purpose of this pattern is to explain what happened, which is the cause, and why it happened, which is the effect. Signal words include because, so, in order to, and as a result. Sequential order is another type of text structure. The purpose of this pattern is to explain events in time order or order of importance. Signal words include before, first, then, last, after, finally, and mostly important. And another text structure is problem and solution. The purpose of this text structure is to show a problem and how it is solved. Your signal words to look for this pattern include problem, solution, in light of, propose, and suggest. Let's continue. Let's look back at our text of the week. Wheelchair sports, hang glider to wheeler dealer. As I think out loud, I want you to listen for the steps I take and the questions I ask myself to help me recognize the organizational patterns. Remember, our focus for today is being able to identify the organizational pattern that our author uses to organize the text. Let's get started. I'm going to read the introduction to Wheeler Sports, Hang Glider to Wheeler Dealer. As I read the introduction, I'm going to stop after each paragraph to see if there are any signal words to help me recognize the organizational pattern. Before you jump off a mountain, there are a few things you have to do. Usually, Marilyn Hamilton did them all and had a great time soaring in California's Sierra Mountain Range under her hang glider. But one day in 1978, she forgot to clip her harness to the glider. She was lucky not to be killed, but the crash broke her back. At the age of 29, Hamilton's life changed forever, but the lives of millions of others would also be changed by that simple mistake. Did you hear any signal words to help identify an organizational pattern? I didn't either, but I did notice in this paragraph that the author explains that Marilyn forgot to clip her harness to the glider. This caused something bad to happen. Because she forgot to clip her harness to the glider, she fell and broke her back. This is the effect. Remember, the cause is why something happens, and the effect is the result of it happening. So I'm going to annotate my text now. Let's move on and read paragraph 2. Again, I'm going to look for signal words to help me recognize the organizational pattern. Hamilton was never able to walk again. After a stay in the hospital and 3 weeks of therapy, she was given a wheelchair and encouraged to get on with her life. She was eager to do that, but worried about the things she would never be able to do again, like running, biking, squash and racquetball, hiking, and hang gliding. Now that I've read paragraph 2, it seems that it has an effect that can be connected to the cause in paragraph 1. Let me look for any cause and effect signal words in paragraph 2. I didn't see any signal words in this paragraph for cause and effect, but I do see the sentence about Hamilton not being able to walk again and was given a wheelchair. So I've annotated this in my text. Remember, this was an effect from her not clipping the harness to her glider, and she broke her back. I'm going to read and look for signal words in paragraphs 3 to see if it can help me recognize the organizational pattern. Let's see if you can find any as I read it aloud. Still, Hamilton was determined to live a full and active life and ready to try new things. Regular tennis was out, but a friend got her started on wheelchair tennis. It was frustratingly difficult, and she'd come home from the courts at the end of the day with badly blistered hands. She hated her wheelchair. Its steel frame made it heavy, close to 27 kilograms or 60 pounds, and hard to maneuver. And it was ugly. Being imprisoned in that wheelchair was the exact opposite of being able to fly in a hang glider. One day, that difference gave her an idea. This paragraph told me about Marilyn wanting to live a full and active life. Remember, she was an athlete before her accident, and now she's in a wheelchair. In fact, Marilyn hated the wheelchair because it was made from steel, which made it really heavy. Don't forget, a text can have more than one organizational pattern. This is a problem. She became frustrated because of this. The text even says, one day that difference gave her an idea. And this detail leads me to believe that she is going to come up with a solution later in the text. This detail connected to the central idea of this text. Let's continue with paragraph 4. Remember, I'm looking to see if the author is providing me with a solution to the problem in paragraph 3 using our signal words. Let's continue. Hamilton talked to two friends who made hang gliders. She persuaded them to build her a new wheelchair using hang glider technology. An aluminum frame made it strong but light. It was half the weight of her regular chair, and she could really move in it. It even looked good. In fact, the only thing that stopped it from being absolutely perfect was that it was blue, and she would have preferred yellow. I didn't see any of the problem and solution signal words in this paragraph, but as I was reading, I was beginning to see if Marilyn's idea of how to solve a problem with the wheelchair being too heavy was in this paragraph. And it was. In this paragraph, I read how Marilyn persuaded her friends to build a new wheelchair made from hang gliding aluminum parts, which will make it lighter. The wheelchair her friends built was half the weight of the regular chair. This is the solution to the problem she was faced with in paragraph 3 about the steel wheelchair frame being heavy. Now I'm going to read and look for signal words in paragraph 5 to help me recognize the organizational pattern. Hamilton and her friends knew they were onto something. Hamilton couldn't be the only one out there looking for a lighter, speedier chair. They formed a company to make and sell quickie wheelchairs and specialized in meeting the needs of athletes. The company was hugely successful. It seems to me that the organizational pattern in paragraph 5 is also connected to paragraph 3. I don't see any problem and solution signal words, but this is part of the solution. The paragraph even tells me how their company was successful due to making and selling the quickie wheelchair. The fact that they met the needs of many athletes tells me that they solved the problem by providing athletes with a lightweight wheelchair to play sports instead of the heavy steel frame wheelchair. All right, scholars, let's pause for a moment and reflect on what I just did. So, what steps did I follow to recognize the organizational patterns? And what questions did I ask myself as I was thinking? Remember, the steps I took to be successful just now were: I identified if there were any signal words, and I recognized the organizational pattern. Great job today. All right, guys, that wraps up today's 5th grade reading lesson. Keep reading. I will see you again next time. Bye.